In a future time unknown. Global warming has melted even the ice caps of the extreme poles. As the glaciers melted and the world flooded, something within the ice thawed. Something ancient, something big. Dragons. Something to look forward to 11 years from now, I think. Nah. Hello everyone and welcome to my revisit of Dragonseeds, a PS1 game about racing monsters, but not just any monster. Dragons. Mostly dragons. But regardless of how they look, they are all clones of what was a 90-million-year-old dragon, and so they're called in-game as such. Released in 1998, it hopes to follow on the success of Pokemon and Monster Rancher in the then popular Mons genre. I already talked briefly about my love for Monster Rancher 2, and as a kid I wanted more. Question is, was this game any good? Well, we're gonna find out. Be prepared though, as I'll be drawing a lot of parallels to Pokemon and Monster Rancher. The background of the game is different to say the least. The poles have melted and ancient dragon remains were found. Scientists cloned them back into existence, and a new sport revolving racing and battling cloned reptiles was formed. Upon start of the game, you are registered as a Dragonsage, the term they call those that race dragons. Unlike Pokemon and Monster Rancher, you already have a monster in tow. A beautiful ruby-scaled saurian wielding a round shield and a pink-hilted dagger. And immediately, you're greeted by Count Awazana. He invites you to a sparring match, as he does to all newcomers. And spar you shall. You can only say no so much until the game itself limits your options. And so you are forthrightly engaged in your first battle. Fighting is a complex form of rock, paper, scissors game. Not that you'll explore much of it because you're clearly outmatched.
Look at how huge this beast is, it's ginormous.
As a preordained, your dragon is beaten. And the sparring match goes to Awazana, who exclaims, "Ah, if he had lived." Pardon? So let's compare. In Pokemon games, when your Mon's HP runs out, they simply faint. A quick visit to a Pokemon Center and they're good as new. In Monster Rancher, monsters can get knocked out in a match, but can still go an entire round robin. But if your beast goes down in Dragonseeds, and they are down for good. That's right, official as tourneys may be, safety of its competitors is still damned. This isn't WWE for dragons, it's a blood sport. And they know it. You're insisted by the organizers to surrender when it gets bleak. All that being said, our goal in the game is simple. Rise to the ranks of Dragon Championship and kick the count's ass by proxy of a Dragon Duel. So starts the monster racing loop, and it's more straightforward than in Monster Rancher at least. The first step is going to the clone lab to acquire a pet to beat. There are 6 species of dragon to choose from, which will determine its look and element. To me, this is the most pressing decision to make. I'll elucidate why near the end of the video. You'll also be asked to form a phrase that vaguely affects the starting stats of your dragon, but this is superficial as every aspect of your monster can be easily altered with training. You'll then be instructed to wait 24 hours. Okay. Actually, while waiting 24 real-world hours for something to progress in-game is frequent in today's games. Or days. Yes, this is real, 6 days before a weapon upgrade is complete. But that'd be asinine if it was applied here, so instead we have an in-game day cycle. One in-game day is split into 7 increments for your chosen activity. For convenience sake, we go to the apartments to skip the remainder of the first day. We want to see our dragon after all. And I'll explain later why my dragon is a space invader. But while we're here, I want to exclaim that it is such a bad idea that you have to name your pet before you go to see what it looks like. I named this guy Bob, but it looks more like an Alan, don't you think? Now that we're dragon armed, off to the fights we go. Or not, because for some reason dragons need a weapon and a shield before they can do anything. A quick shopping trip fixes that. There, ready for Dark Souls. But you know, why don't we train first? There are 3 training options. The first to involve minigames, and primarily boost either melee or long-range attacks. Performing well will yield better gains. The last option is a shadow boxing match that can also increase your dragon's dodge rate. Aside from training, resting will increase HP. Unfortunately, this is the only expedient way of raising this stat, but with a caveat. Resting increases weight, and the heavier you are, the less you dodge. And sadly, weight gain is permanent. Fortunately, there's the junk shop, which when visited will occasionally sell items to raise any stat. It's by far the only way to raise HP without gaining weight, and also the only way to raise wisdom. We'll come back to that stat later. For now, I think we're ready to fight. So off to the battle arena we go. Sadly, we have a major shortcoming here. There are a total of 16 ranks to conquer. As to what your opponent's strength is going to be for each, It's completely ambiguous. You have no way of knowing beforehand whether you're too weak or strong for a particular rank. You just have to get in there and hope for the best. And hope you should. Battles are, as I said, a mixed up rock, paper, scissors affair. Your actions are melee, a long range special breath attack, and putting up your reflector. Combatants can move back and forth, and melee only works at the closest range. Specials can hit from any distance but can be reflected by shields, which likewise lose to melee swipes. Finally, dragons have a small dodge rate depending on their speed and weight. Oh, so that's why I named this thing Bob. This system of RPS would be fine, until you find out that the computer is a cheating bastard which can change their actions depending on what you do. I know, because my save states weren't helping much. You are for the most part at the mercy of the AI. Employing a very cautious strategy is perhaps the best choice to win fights. And with that, it's the core cycle of the game. Training, equipping arms, battles, and so on. Really, it's a bit too simple to be as compelling as other pet racers out there. There desperately needs to be more variation in ways to develop your dragon's strength. The 2 minigames get really dull really quickly, as is visiting the junk shop over and over. And while Pokemon learn new moves and Monster Rancher likewise, in this game nothing new really gets offered as you progress, save for the aesthetics of the dragons themselves. And at last we're here, the aesthetics of the game. Graphics are bare and simplistic. There's not much here to get wowed over. The backgrounds in the overworlds, the flat textures and backgrounds to form the arenas, the less than 20 character portraits. But by far, the best thing the game offers is, of course, the variety of dragons. As is obvious with Bob here, the dragons are not restricted to the reptilian form we're familiar with. There are beetles, wasps, amalgams, whatever Bob is, a door. Excuse me, this is a dragon? Along this is the anticipation of life cycles. Every 10 days or so, they will metamorph, as in become a cocoon. Yeah, let's just don't do that in real life. Thus evolving into adult forms and senior forms. It's refreshing to look at something new at last, but senior's not the end. There's old age, wherein your dragon's performance slowly whittled down until its final breath in less than a week. Though you'll likely never want this because there's an alternative, which is determined by the wisdom stat. The higher the stat, the better your chances of your dragon becoming mutated or super. And yup, it's pure luck whether or not it does this. So save up and yes, come. Mutants are just an extra phase before old age, which comes too soon, really. But ultimately, the new look of the monster is worth it. And the last one could be regarded as the ultimate form. The Super Dragons, which are nuts. They rather resemble Digimon, great another monster game. By that, I mean they become more humanoid than beasts. More importantly is that they stop aging. These dragons, you can keep forever. This last form seems to be battle-oriented since training becomes utterly ineffectual, but you can still raise its stats via the junk shop. And with that, the game loop is complete. Reaching the highest echelons of the battle arena is enough to finish the game, and the only noteworthy encounter is with the old bastard that killed your first dragon. After exacting sweet vengeance, the credits roll and you may repeat the cycle again. But would you want to? Maybe once to try out the new species you unlock? The Door Dragon is one? Or maybe try your hand at min-maxing, but likely not much more. Finally, let me comment on the music, which includes synthetic sounds, some guitar distortions, and lots of voice samples. Honestly, it's hit or miss, like the championship matches that are dissonant to the action with its melancholy mood. When it hits good. The numerous chanting samples in the music is giving me vibes of Shin Megami Tensei. There are more facets to this game that I've not tackled, like its multiplayer, exactly what you'd expect, and the memory forest, which reads your PS1's memory card save files to create immortal dragons. But that's Dragonseeds. A different take in racing monsters, most certainly, but too simple and bare to have the replayability of titles like it. But that's just my take. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you have any PS1 games you want me to revisit, feel free to mention them too. Until next time, farewell, Bob.